things, and you just put them up against the wall here where your outlet's going to go. And it just takes a couple of quick shots of the stapler. And then you go into mounting your outlets. Okay, now there's a number of different styles of boxes available. These things come and go over the years. I'm using some older boxes just to recycle some stuff here. Now, one thing that's handy to know is that the size of these boxes hasn't changed in decades, so you can reuse old stuff from a previous renovation or stuff that you tore out, just as long as it's in good condition. Now this particular style of box, basically the way you mount this one is you got these holes at the side here, and just at the back you just take a nail and you just put it through and just nail that to the stud, and just nail at the top and the bottom, and that's ready to go. This style here is a little newer box, and it has these little holes here, and basically just a couple of screws at front and the back and top and bottom. So 4 screws to hold this on, and that's quite simple and basic. And then there's this style here that's a little older. It has inside here, let's see, I'll put it this way, maybe you can see it a little better lit up. It's got this little indentation here. That's kind of a dip in the side. That's so that you can take a screw and you can put it through at an angle, and just drill that into the side of the stud, just like that. And yeah, so that's probably the 3 most common ones that you're going to run into. So we'll just take a box. Now this box here is a little smaller than your standard box. This box is only 1.5 inches deep, and this one here is basically for communications. What I'm doing here is where my internet is coming into the house. So we'll just put that there, we'll hold that in place, and we just take a hammer and set that home. Make sure you're 1/2 inch deep here, or thereabouts, because you're going to be covering up that with drywall, and you want to be flush with the surface of the drywall when you're done. So make sure you're sticking out 1/2 inch. The way these studs bounce, but anyways, that's ready for the internet technician on Monday. And make sure you put a vapor barrier around that one as well, because it's again, that's a place where your air can leak, so you don't really want that happening. This is one of those new style boxes. This is now another thing I should show you here on the newer style boxes. I'll just bring this in close here. Notice it's got these little tabs here. Nice thing about it is the two flat tabs in the front are marked 1/2 inch back from the surface. So if you just put those with the face of your stud, just overlap that, and then your setback on your box is correct for 1/2 inch drywall. And then these two back little spikes, you can just press them into the stud, and that'll hold long enough for you to get a nail or a screw or something in there. So you just take it, put it on the face of the stud like so, and then just push it in, and it'll hold there while you go get yourself a drill and some screws. Well, it should hold there. Usually it holds there. Try it again. There we go. We'll just set that in there, one at the front, one at the back. Helps to have a longer drill head for these, because then you don't end up popping out like I just did there. And just make sure those nice and solid, and that'll pull up, so you can put your vapor barrier around that, and you're all ready to go. On to the next one. Another thing I should point out, sometimes they'll have these little lines right here. These are depth gauges for your standard thicknesses of drywall. They've got 1/2 inch and 3/8 and 3/4, which is your three standard sizes of drywall. So you just slip it in there, line it up to the appropriate line, and then start nailing it. Okay, now that we've installed all of our outlet boxes, the next thing we need to do is plan where we're going to put our wires. As I mentioned, I'm bringing 2 circuits into the room. So what I've done is I've went around and marked the various sockets with either a 1 or a 2 so I can know which outlet is on which circuit. And now I have to plan the route of my wires to go from A to B. And then the idea is to have a set of wires going from all the ones, from box marked 1 to the next box marked 1, and to the next box marked 1, and get all my boxes connected in a circuit. The same thing with circuit number 2. And you just plan your route for your wires. Now, when you're planning your route for your wires, keep in mind certain things, like I've got a heat duct coming down here. Okay, I can't put wires behind my heat duct, so for here I have to go up into the ceiling and go through the joists. Or well, since I'm doing a suspended ceiling, I can go under the joists. Anyways, in either event, I have to go up overhead. And another thing to keep in mind is if you've got any other obstacles that you can't really work around, you have to kind of plan your routes for running your wires for that. You can take advantage of things like the headers we built to go around the furnace ducts. Now you can run wires in there, but you have to keep a space of 1 inch away from the duct itself. So you've got to make sure that you can staple your wires down and keep them from physical contact with the duct. That's just for heat separation. Now I've got myself my drill, and I'm drilling through my studs here for running my wires. I'm using a 3/4 inch bit. With 14-2 wire, you can put 2 wires through a hole with 3/4 inch hole. If you want to run 3 wires, you have to go up to a 7/8 of an inch hole. Now, after that, you're better off just to drill a second hole if you need to run more wires than that. A big hole just becomes cumbersome, and reason number 2 is you start to run into heat capacity rules. Okay. Now the heat capacity rules are something which affect the electrical code. When you've got a lot of wires coming into an area, you get heat from those wires, and you need to keep the wires physically separated so they don't build up too much heat. Otherwise, you risk starting a fire. Basically, all the rules have their reasoning behind them, and some of them it's a bit hard to see, but especially little things like this. But as a general rule, you're not going to run more than 2 or 3 wires through a hole. You're going to drill a second hole, simply just to keep the wires physically spaced for that reason. Now the other thing to keep in mind, now we're on an exterior wall, so as long as we drill our holes halfway or toward the back, we're fine. On an interior wall where you've got usage on both sides of the wall, or a room or whatever, you're going to want to drill directly in the center of the stud. The reason for this being that when you nail your finishing material on either side of the wall, you don't want to be penetrating your wiring. So you put your wire dead center in the of the stud, and that just eliminates the possibility of puncturing your wire while you put your drywall up. And same thing. Well, now with the exterior walls, it's a little different because you don't have any room or usage going on the other side of the wall. It's the wall. The exterior concrete or whatever. And the only thing that's on the outside of it is it's outside. But so here we want to stay in the back half of the stud. Again, you want to stay near the center just for strength and whatnot, but anywhere in the back half of the stud is fine, as it just reduces the possibility for penetration of the wire when you put up your finishing materials. So anyways, I've got my box here, putting my holes about 4 or 5 inches above the boxes. That way, when I run my wires, I can staple here. And I've got room to loop down, and we'll show you more when we get to that stage here. So let's get the rest of our holes put in place here. Kind of bit I'm using is just your standard auger bit. Now you can use a spade bit as well. I find they tend to vibrate the heck out of my hands, but that'll function quite well as well. The corners can be a little bit tricky. You have to kind of watch where where you're coming through, because with the corner, you've got the one wall like this, and then you've got the other, the plate coming up against for the back wall, so you're like this. So what you want to do is you want to come in the area where the stud from the other wall isn't. See? So I kind of come in between everything. Sometimes you have to go at a bit of an angle to come out where you need to, because when you're out front here, you're actually drilling at an angle toward the back, but in order to miss the stud on the other side, I have to angle up and come down, and that way my drill's not redirected toward the outside wall here. So I just pile it just a little bit, and then come back in and go the other direction here. Always fun when your bit gets caught. That puts us through nicely exactly where we need to be. Okay, now that we've got the outlet boxes in the wall and we know where our switches and everything are going, now it's time to hang the lights. Now I'm going with a suspended ceiling, so I have fluorescent fixtures which will sit within a 1x4 spot in a fluorescent ceiling. And now the way you hang these, it comes with the chain. You just simply hang about a little more than a third down, and you screw it in one side and one joist, and the other into another joist, and just make sure they hang down about even. And on the end, there's a little hook. Just bend the tab out, put the hook in the tab, and then just squeeze the tab closed. Now make sure the chain's even, and then there's a tab in here that you just simply bend out. You put the hook into the tab, and then squeeze the tab, squeeze the hook closed. Okay, and then once you've got it hanging evenly, then you go and hang the other end the same way. Okay, so just bring it up and take your hook and hook it into the end. And the same thing with the other hook. And take a pair of pliers, squeeze them tight. Just make sure that's not going to fall off on you. A little bit of a rock in the noggin if it does. Okay. And then if you need to adjust your chains so that it sits evenly, you might have to adjust your chains a bit. Just to make sure it hangs even temporarily. And that way you'll get at least semi-decent light until you get into the roof. Now these things do hang a little bit low, so you have to watch your noggin until you get the ceiling in place.